What is going on, everybody? It's your boy John, and welcome back to Gearbox. So today, of course, title, thumbnail, you know the drill. We are talking about the MHD tuning platform for the Mark V Supra. A little bit of background on this. As some of you guys might know, I have recently tuned this car with the MHD platform, went through the whole femto ECU unlock and all of that sort of stuff, which all in all wasn't like the biggest pain in the ass, but it wasn't the most fun either. But regardless, we've kind of got the final product where we have it right now, and I could not be more happy with the results. So what I want to do today is show you the process of actually tuning your car with MHD, as well as all the other functionality that the MHD app has to offer. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So of course, as with any tuning software, the first thing you're going to want to do is get this puppy right here. Of course, this is going to plug into the OBD2 port. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll pick you back up once we're good to go. One thing to keep in mind before we get into this video, a big recommendation both by MHD as well as any other tuning software that you're not like on an actual dyno, they do recommend using a battery tender. So once I got this tuned, I actually did go ahead and buy one. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I do not want to brick my ECU. That would suck. So I can actually drop a link to the battery tender that I'm using. Nothing crazy, but just an FYI. So now that we have that plugged into the OBD2 port, let me go ahead and pull up the MHD app here, which, wow, that lighting is horrible, but there it is. And we get the loading screen. Now, of course, before we do this, we need to go into diagnostic mode in the actual Supra. So what we do, foot off the brake, hit the stop-start button 3 times quick, and you'll see all the lights pop up and all that. And then on the actual dash, it's going to say diagnostic mode active, which is what that ding was. Another thing that you do want to keep in mind, I think this was told to me by Thunder Bunny Racing, not necessarily MHD, but I could be wrong. You do want to turn off your lights and turn off the AC, turn off CarPlay, turn off whatever could possibly randomly trip something while you're tuning the car. And just, once again, rather be safe than sorry. So now that we have everything in such a configuration, we need to go to the Wi-Fi app, I guess you could call it, on your phone, and we're going to click the MHD ENETFFD4 network. Click join. What I also like to do is go ahead and disable auto connect to the Toyota CarPlay. Sometimes, like right now, it's bumping back and forth between the two networks. So I'm going to disable auto join. I know the lighting's horrible, but click disable auto join and then go back into the MHD app, and it should solve all your problems. So now that we've done all of that, we are now in the app screen, which looks like this. I know the reflection is trash. If I could figure out a way to do this, I guess that's a little bit better. But of course, we have really 4 things: flash MHD map, flash a backend map, flash custom map, so on and so forth. We then also have the tape at the bottom, which shows tuning, stock, monitors, codes, and live data logging, essentially. So first I want to go through the actual tuning process. In this case, we're going to click flash an MHD map on the top as such, and we get connecting, right? So now that we pull up all of the different options that MHD has to offer, currently we are on the Stage 2 93 octane aftermarket downpipe tune. That's a mouthful. But we're going to go ahead and click this triangle right there, and we're going to go into the actual tuning software itself. Now, in order to customize things, we're going to click this. I'm not necessarily going to go through every little possible detail that MHD has to offer. Let me put you down real quick. But as a quick overview, You can install, or I guess activate, anti-lag. I do not have that set up right now. You have an exhaust setup, so if you have a stock downpipe versus aftermarket versus a, I guess, aftermarket catless downpipe, you select that. We also have the ability to remove the top speed limiter, so duh, like go ahead and remove that. Overrun BRAP. This is the, when you're under heavy load shifting and it gives that kind of like BMW fart sound. I kind of like it. I mean, I don't feel super strong one way or the other. I just kept it at OEM, no big deal. We then have a toggle for the exhaust burble, which is, in my opinion, a staple of the Supra, so I have it on. Now, what's cool about this, we can go ahead and customize all of this stuff right here. So, duration in sport mode, duration in, let's call it eco mode. We can go aggressiveness, minimum RPM, maximum RPM, so on and so forth. This is pretty cool. This took me a while to get kind of dialed in for what I like. I didn't want any burble on the eco mode or base mode in case my wife is driving this car. But of course, in sport mode, we want to have a little extra spiciness as far as I'm concerned. But just kind of play around with it. I think medium is a happy medium for the burble and kind of all that you can do with this software. But once again, different strokes for different folks. There's a lot of different things and areas that you can tweak it to fit your personality. And so I'd recommend doing that. I mean, you have the software at your disposal, so why not mess around with it? Moving on from the burble stuff, we also have cold start noise reduction. I took that off. I want this thing to be loud. Exhaust flap always open in sport mode, startup roar, and then a bunch of random shit, like if you've got an aftermarket intercooler, if you've got bigger fuel injectors, etc., etc., you can customize that there. Now, once you are at a point where you're like, okay, all this looks good, you click the big orange button that says map right, you wait a little bit and you're good. Because I don't need to flash anything, I'm just gonna exit out of it, but just for the record, that's what you can do when you're ready to tune your car. And for what it's worth, when you do click flash, it takes like no time at all. So if you are driving or you pull over to a gas station and you want to change something on your tune real quick, you can do that. There's also a way in this car to where you can run multiple maps at the same time. And I think you use maybe the cruise control button or something to switch between maps. I didn't do that. I don't have a reason to. I feel like most people probably do it if they have like a 93 octane map and then a E85 map or something along those lines. But theoretically, you can switch it up kind of mid-drive or something like that. But now let's talk about the rest that MHD has to offer. So as we mentioned at the bottom tab here, I guess, we have tune. That's what we just did. We have stock. So for whatever reason, you had to tune your car back to stock. That's what this is. We have monitoring. So I mentioned data logging earlier. For one reason or another, maybe you're going to get a custom map or something. This is where you do that. And then in a lot of ways outside of the tuning piece of it, the next piece is what I think is the most important, and that is the ability to not only read ECU codes, but also reset them, clear them, whatever. As you guys may or may not know, I had an issue running my Active AutoWorks catted downpipe, throwing a 12B107 or whatever code. So once I got this tuned, it took a while for it to kind of realize what all was going on. So I had to reset it a couple times, but it's very nice regardless. Then we have the MHD Live Adjust. Not entirely sure what all this entails. I mean, the description here is switch maps, open, close exhaust valves, and more on the fly. This can be used even if you've disabled MHD Plus wheel controls. So I guess instead of using the steering wheel controls to switch between maps, you can also use the app to actively change maps or change certain parameters of the tune of your Supra. So guys, hopefully that's a pretty good, at least base overview of MHD and all that it has to offer specific to the Mark V Supra platform. I know this app has a much wider offering for other platforms as well, but of course all I know is the Mark V, so I'm not going to speak on behalf of any other platform. But if you guys do have any other specific questions for me as it relates to maybe my experience tuning this car with MHD or some other specific functionality within the Supra platform, please drop some comments down below. It's kind of hard to make these types of videos and cover every little bit in detail that some of you might be interested in, but the best thing you can do is just ask. I'll maybe make a follow-up video, at least shoot you a comment, whatever, and hopefully we can all help each other out to continue using MHD as a reasonable tuning platform for this car. If you like this video, please give it a big fat thumbs up, and as always guys, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, you know the drill. And until next time, peace.